fire away.
Ken, before games, Deshaun, early in the offseason, Deshaun was talking about getting more reps, time, and, how just getting back in the groove of playing football would help him a lot. Before games, what have you seen from him that you can build on for the rest of the season?
I think, he just consistently has gotten a little bit more and more comfortable, a little bit more and more, decisive and seeing things well, kind of as he's gone here. Again, when you're evaluating the decision making and the what we're doing out there, I think the decision making this past game was at a level where we can definitely win some games, and he made some impressive plays for us. So. I think that feel is there. I think you see that the work in the offseason with some of the things he's able to do physically, and we're just going to keep progressing, keep grinding, and make sure that we're doing the right things in the quarterback room, to make sure we're elevating our game as each week goes here.
The late game execution down the stretch, those moments seems to be a struggle for you guys. What is maybe the key part of what is not happening on the field, and how do you clean that up to make sure you guys can execute down the stretch?
That's a great question, and I think a lot of that is just locked in on situations. This league, it's the situations are so important, and they affect kind of whether it's decision making, thought process, play calling, execution, right? So being locked into what the situation is and pushing through that fourth quarter, it's when you get in the fourth quarter and you're gassed, that's why you do the work in the during the week, and in the off season to really lay down a base of fundamentals, a base of things that I can fall back on and depend on. So we just got to make sure we're laying that foundation each and every week so that when you get in those situations when you're gassed and you're tired after a long drive in the fourth quarter, you could still operate things, with your eyes closed. And that's just the stress, and that's what we're continuing to grind for each and every week.
In your view, what went wrong on the 4th and 3 at the end of the game, and what should have gone better? Yeah,
I think again, it's it's just our overall execution on that play. It's hard to get into specifics of scheme and things like that, but I think when you look at it just from a bird's eye view, big picture wise, from my standpoint, kind of like we're just talking about, it's making sure that we're able to execute those things at a high level, no matter what the situation is in the game. And so, whether that's route technique, decision, blocking, whatever it is, like it's making sure that I get these guys enough reps on in the week so that they feel supremely comfortable to go out and execute with their eyes closed on Sundays. And we're continuing to strive for that. Obviously, we're not where we want to be by any means, but we're going to keep grinding. We're going to keep working to make sure we're ready to roll if that situation comes this week.
And you guys are almost perfect on opening drives. 24 out of a possible 28 points. Mm-hmm. After that, you got 30 points in 42 possessions. Mm-hmm. So what's happening?
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, it's, you want to start fast, but you also want to sustain, and you want to continue attacking and not relax and not, have any other thought process of, what we really want to harp with with us as coaches, with our players, with our organization. When we're out there on game day, it's focus on this play, every play, and focus on winning that play, and I think if you take that mindset of focus on this play, every play, and win that play and do my job, good things are going to happen. And I think, that's the continued focus that we gotta have, so that we could sustain that for a full 4 quarters, because I think it's clear that we are capable of that. We just got to get to that level of an execution on a consistent basis.
Ken, this is a veteran team. It's not a young team.
Yeah.
And you got a bunch of veterans. You just mentioned about getting that execution on a consistent basis. Setting the injury thing aside, what's been the problem from that standpoint? You guys spent all off season getting things all together, training camp and whatnot, and then we get to the regular season and just the production has been an uphill climb outside of that opening drive?
It's a great question. I think I always go back to offensive football. It takes all 11 guys. It really does, and that's where execution comes from. 11 guys, doing their job, and look, we're not always going to have the perfect play call, and we're not always going to have, it's not always going to be perfect, and that's where having a quarterback like Deshaun and having playmakers like we do, a lot of times they can get you out of those things by, hey, just finding the check down or escaping or making somebody miss in space, right? But I think when you talk about offensive ball, and to your point, what you're saying is it takes all 11, and it takes us as coaches, from a preparation standpoint in the week, being detailed, but not to the point of where they're robots and they could go out and be themselves. And because there's a feel to the game as well, where you got to improvise on some things. So you never want to take that away from them. And I think we've talked about this with the quarterback in the past. But at the same time, you want to make sure we're being detailed in the week. Here's what we want. Here's how we're going to do it, and the execution piece of it. And then on game day, all 11 guys locked in, doing their job, no more, no less. At the end of the day.
What did you see out of Nick Chubb yesterday in his first practice back?
Yeah, I mean it was fun to see him back there. It's definitely a different feel when he starts kind of mixing in and kind of getting in there. So obviously, we're excited to kind of that he's back, kind of getting in the mix and everything. And obviously, we're gonna take that day by day and make sure we're doing everything we can to put him in a good position to make sure he's ready to go when that time comes.
Moving around.
I think it's one of those things where just from an evaluation standpoint, it's kind of hard day one. Kind of as we go, we'll see more and more. I think so. I don't want to put a finger on it, but it was fun to see him out there. That's for sure.
How much will it help you guys to have Dave Njoku back if he can make it to the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, Dave's a big piece, he's a great football player who does a lot for us, in a lot of different areas, whether it's pass game, protection, run game. Gives us a lot of flexibility. I do think those guys have really stepped up, and the guys we've added, I think AB's done a great job in bringing those guys in, guys who are smart, tough, and dependable that we can rely on during this stretch. But obviously mixing Dave back in with those guys, it can help us, and because he's a playmaker for us in a lot of different areas.
Ken, as a play caller, and you were that in Buffalo, shouldn't first down be the easiest down to make a call? I mean, you're not behind the chain unless somebody false starts.
Right, yeah,
So first down.
Yeah, again, I think it just goes back to what we were talking about before. It just offensive ball is about 11 guys and our execution and everybody being on the same page doing their job, no more, no less. I think, Kevin's done a great job throughout the years as a play caller. I mean, as a head coach / play caller, he's been a 2-time coach of the year, and so I think he does a great job. And I think it's just getting that rhythm as an offense and getting that confidence as an offense and sustaining that throughout the game.
You guys' stats show you're making more errors on first down.
That's a good question. I wouldn't say it's something where it's just a dramatic difference, here or there. I think there's a lot that goes into when a play works and when a play doesn't work. So to pinpoint one specific thing, I think is hard. When you look at the entirety. So I know I sound like a broken record, but it really does. It takes all 11 guys and usually when a play doesn't work, and it's you're having those struggles. It's one thing here, one thing there. So it's just that focus and that making sure that us as coaches, we're being detailed and we're putting our guys in position.
When you're having protection issues on the outside, why not use more tight ends to kind of help out there? Or is that just kind of take away from your scheme and offense design?
No, it's a good question. I think there's a balance there, because obviously when you do that, you limit the number of receivers out on the route. So I think Kevin did a great job this past week in terms of mixing those protections up. We used some tight ends, we used some, get everybody out. 5-man, 6-man, 7-man. So just that mix there was, I think, really good for us and helped us there up front. And I think that's the world you want to make sure you're living in. You don't want to live in one world. You want to make sure, you're trying to keep a defense off balance as much as possible by mixing it up, mixing in the chips. Whether it's chipping both sides, chipping one side, keeping the tight ends in protection, getting them out, 5-man pros and relying on Deshaun to, make the decision and get the ball out. So I think there's a definite balance there that you have to strike, because if you're living in one world, you allow a defense to get a beat on you.
While we're talking O-line, what did you think of, I know they were tough spots, but Nick and Zach being forced in there, and then it's another tough matchup this week if they have to, play again?
Yeah, obviously it's nice having Nick around in the building because of his experience and what he's able to do, and he did a nice job stepping in there for us, and you really don't you don't miss a beat with his smart. Again, I go back to just what you really look for on offense is smart, tough, and dependable, and I really think both those guys are that, and so Nick did a really good job coming in. Zach, as a rookie, it's been really encouraging, just the progression and just getting better and better. And I think he's getting more and more confident. I mean, he played against a really good player last week, and obviously, there's things we can improve on and get better on. But I think he fought and used his technique and really battled and played with great effort and strain. And I think that's the thing you always preach to those guys up front. It's about effort and strain. At times it's just a little push at the end, to push a guy by so the quarterback can step up, and I think he really embodies that for us, I think that it's exciting to kind of see his development, and hopefully it continues to grow. And another great challenge this week. I mean, they got two really good defensive tackles and a great rotation, and they are a high effort group. So we'll need every bit of that, technique, effort, and strain this week.
When you guys are getting blitzed the way you guys have, how much of that responsibility to call and identify that stuff is on the offensive line versus the quarterback IDing it? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely one of those things where you make your calls and you have your adjustments and things like that. And again, it takes all, especially when you're talking, quarterback and O-line play, it's being on the same page, and there's no I thought, you thoughts, it's communication, it's being on the same page, and then it's understanding when I do have things picked up and when I don't have things picked up, and, making sure I know where my quick throws are and my answers are if I need to get the ball out. So it's definitely a dance. You got to dance between, the quarterback and the offensive line to make sure, the big thing to me is that protection inside out, so that we could step up, and then, making sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of where we're going and how we're IDing things.
Just a couple more.
Where do you think Amari is?
For a second. How do you guys sort of start game planning for him to be a piece of your offense?
I'm sorry, who are we talking about?
Just Nick Chubb.
Nick, okay.
How do you guys start sort of game planning for him to be part of your offense? And do you envision when he comes back that even when he's playing in games, he's not going to have like a full workload immediately? Yeah,
and to be honest, like in terms of the workload and things like that, we're not there yet. And that's something we'll definitely discuss with trainers and everything. There's a lot of that, and obviously a head coach's, decision, and I think he's got a great feel for Nick and where he's been, in the past. So I think that's something that we'll definitely get to kind of when that time comes. And right now our focus is more on Washington and the problems they pose. But obviously I think everybody's got a good plan for Nick moving forward, and it was exciting to see him out there.
Where do you think Amari is this week, sort of from a headspace standpoint and a work standpoint, and how is he looking and the demeanor and everything after being involved in just so many key plays in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Coop is consistent. You know what I mean? Like his approach, his attitude, his mentality, his desire to help our team win, and he brings that to work into the game every game. He might not be the rah-rah guy or whatever, but like his mentality and his approach is consistent. I love watching him come out to work, because he works hard for us in practice, and I think you see that in the game as well. And I know there's been certain times where it hasn't gone his way, but he's a pro, and he's the type of player that can make special plays for us. So we're going to continue to grind, and I think he will too. And I think that he's done a really good job so far this week to put himself in position. And when you look at last game, I mean, he's really, it's a couple things away from having a huge game. So we're excited with the direction that he's taken, and he's, the plays that he's making for us, and when he gets those opportunities, it's all about, to me, the quarterback going through his read, making the right decision, and giving our guys a chance to make a play. And typically when we do that, it spreads the ball around.
Going back to like when you're talking about the importance of endurance to close out a game, when you have one of your star wide receivers like Jerry Jeudy come and say, hey, I might not be in the best shape in terms of endurance, how do you as a coaching staff kind of, attack that?
Yeah, I think you build that through, just playing in the practice phase of things, and going through and making sure, how you practice is how you play in the game. And I think JJ's done a good job of that, and he's building that endurance, and he's getting to that point. I think it's gotten better and better, as he's gone, because obviously he did miss some time and early on there. So I think he's done a really good job in terms of continuing to work to build that. And you see those guys, they're doing extra after practice. They're, doing extra between periods. During special teams, they're getting extra routes. Like they're doing their part, to push themselves and put themselves in uncomfortable situations in practice so that they can be ready for the games. And I think, JJ, Amari, said, Elijah, all these guys, Dave is going to have to kind of do the same thing right now because he's missed some time. All these guys are working to push themselves and making themselves uncomfortable in practice so they can be comfortable in games. Okay. Thank you, guys.
You look back on the missed extra point. What was it footwork? What was it that really caused, led to the missed kick?
Yeah, it was just I would say the contact that he made on the ball in the area of the ball that he hit.
Was that one of those situations where, he just never does that, where after making a 56-yard field goal,
right,
the extra point, what thought went through your head about that? That's just so unlikely.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we had to miss on that. If we make the kick, we're in a much better spot, later in the game.
Why does it seem like a missed PAT in the middle of a game hurts more than a missed field goal?
Missed PAT in the middle of a game.
Whereas if it was a missed field goal, oh well, let's move on. Do you get that feeling at all? It does seem to me that.
It definitely hurts when you miss the PAT. It's.
As opposed to missing a field goal.
Yeah, I understand your point, but you go from being down 3 to being down 4, so.
It seems to hurt psychologically.
To our team? Yeah, look, if you miss a PAT to go down 3, or if you miss a PAT and it would have put you down 3, obviously it puts you in a worse spot. So now you got to put the ball in the end zone.
What goes into the decision at the end of the first half whether or not to try the field goal from 58 yards?
Yeah, I think Kevin and I both were on the same page there. A 58-yarder is not a gimme, and then obviously if you miss the kick, then you give them the ball midfield. So
of the few extra points that he has missed, there was the one in Baltimore after the pick six,
right,
and this one after the defense.
The sudden change, yeah.
Is there anything too that makes that more difficult?
I don't think so. Every kick is different. Every situation is different. I think those situations were similar, obviously with the sudden change. So look, it's unfortunate he missed the kick. We just gotta continue to keep improving and make sure that doesn't happen again on the PAT.
Look at that Washington special teams, and then especially Eckler, if he's able to come back and play this one.
Yeah, they have a really good group. Larry does a good job. Larry and I are really good friends, played together in New England. Definitely a mentor of mine whenever I was a younger player, and he was, a vet in the league. Does a great job with his units. I think we coach similarly in the fact that, our players play extremely hard on our units. He's got a really good group. 3 of their best guys is the rookie, 40 Owens, 39 Reeves, and Nick Ballor's done a really good job in his time in the league. He's done a nice job there of, kind of like molding his group to what he's coached in the past, like similar to like his groups in Seattle. I think that he gives you some issues with the kick returner's a good player. Eckler has done a good job. He's got good vision, gets the ball downhill. So I think that, I think they have a good group overall, good specialist. Austin Seibert, who is here, hasn't missed a kick since he got signed in week 2. Tressway's been in the league for a long time, strong leg lefty, who has done a nice job in his career. So they have a really good group. It'll be a good challenge for us this week.
How did Naheem look in practice, and is he a guy that you believe that when he's ready to go, you just kind of slot him in and get him going? Yeah,
it was great to see. It was great to see 22 out there for sure. He has worked extremely hard to get back. He definitely looks good. So excited to have him back.
When everybody's digging deep this week to find something that they can do to get you guys on the winning track again, what do you need to see from teams and your guys?
Yeah, I think the head coach sent a good message out to our team yesterday. It's, do more. Do more. Do more to put yourself in a better spot. Do more during the week to put yourself in a better spot on Sunday and to be better prepared to win your matchup, to win your one-on-one. But, do more in your preparation, do more off the field. So I think that everyone's, honed in on getting that done this week.
And how do you improve tackling when you can't really tackle in practice?
Like the act of tackling, I would say. In training camp, you do a lot of drill work type things. Individual. I know that those guys offensively and defensively are doing those types of drills. So.
Mr. Reed had that, hitting ability that he's shown in just his little bit of playing time. He just feels like he's lighting guys up every time he goes down there.
Yeah, I really liked Winston's college tape. He's a physical player, strong, tough. He does everything the right way. He prepares well. He's done a good job taking his opportunities and making the most of them to this point. He's, like I said, he prepares extremely well. He is a physical kid, and he is strong. And I think that those are the things you like in a special teamer, and to be able to play, downhill and be physical at the point of attack like he's done. He's done a good job in the 3 games he's been up.
Well, there was a suggestion that maybe moving the touchback out to the 35 next year on the dynamic kickoff. If they decided to make that change, do you think it would change the approach? If there would be less touchback?
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would change the approach. Now that, you've had, 4 weeks of the regular season, and you can kind of see how the play is playing out, I would say in addition to, moving the touchback to the 35, I could see them moving the kickback to the 30, which, in my opinion, would probably keep the play a little bit cleaner and keep the ball off the ground. And then you're really truly forcing teams to kick the ball to be returned. Initially, I think with a lot of those discussions, putting the ball at the 35 was really, and I was really in favor of having the ball at the 35 because obviously we play in Cleveland. There's weather to get the ball into the landing zone, if you had like a screaming wind in your face, could be difficult. But I think that I'm sure that they'll look at potentially moving the kick back to the 30 as well.
Going into the season, though, it's like that, the touchback being at the 30 was supposed to be a deterrent. Why do you think that hasn't been the deterrent that everyone assumed it would be?
I don't know. I think everyone has different philosophies. Everyone, some teams are content with, hitting the ball to the end zone and giving the team the ball at the 30. I don't think that's necessarily the case with, a decent amount of the coordinators and teams in the league, but there's definitely a bunch of them that are. So the return numbers are definitely up from last year, and I think that that's good. And I think that the play is evolving. I think that you're seeing more things. I think that, teams are getting, you can see improvement in both coverage and in blocking over the first 4 weeks of the season.
Would you be against changing the rule halfway through the season?
Would I be against it? No, I don't think I'd be against it. Look, honestly, whatever they want to do with the rules, we're gonna play by them. So
I don't seem to be against it. The commissioner kind of hinted, well.
I think it would be hard to change any rule in the middle of the season. I don't think that that's probably something that they would do.
What do you sense as the team's mindset, demeanor this week, and just in terms of coming off these two sort of gut-wrenching losses and trying to go to Washington and get it together?
Yeah, I think it's really, weather the storm and fix it and get it right. We have to eliminate. I mean, Coach has said it all week and said it even going into last week, is we got to eliminate bad football. Just the dumb things that kill a drive, or eliminate bad penalties, poor decision making, execution. I mean, it ultimately comes down to execution on every play. I mean, that's how you have successful plays. Everyone doing their job and trusting that the guy next to you is going to do his job. So I think we need to get more of that, more of, playing, more team football, complementary football with, the kicking game offense and defense really playing off of each other and feeding off of each other. I think that, the thing that we can do on teams is, and I think each unit feeds off of one another, I feel like, in the game. So, you have a big play on special teams. It gives your offense some field position. A lot of times that's going to help out the defense if you're playing from ahead. So I think we all need to do better in all of our areas and play more, better complementary football.
Very good.
All righty.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
See you.